Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading Podcast, Season 2, Episode 24. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I'm doing good, Susan. I don't know if I told you this, I've been doing like half calf coffee in the afternoon so that I don't like overdo it with the caffeine, but I still get to have there's just something special about like being able to have coffee, even when you don't really need the caffeine. So I got that going. I'm feeling like I even told you this yesterday or the day before, like I'm feeling so productive this week after last week of feeling like the exact opposite of productive. So I'm feeling just like really motivated, excited for spring, excited for like all of like the different routines we're kind of starting to get into. So this episode could not be more perfect. How are you?
I'm so good. We're definitely riding the same wavelength this week because I cannot express that sentiment more, except the spring is not springing here. We got, I'm not even kidding, guys, over 20 inches of snow within like 18 hours. It
Oh
dumped
my
on
God.
us. I have not seen this much snow at once, probably since I was like 8 years old. It is insane.
Wow.
Full on blizzard. It was
Did
wild.
you lose power or anything like that?
No, we're really fortunate. We live on the road that the hospital is on. So our road is always plowed. And if we do lose power, it is for like 30 minutes to an hour maximum. Like we live in pretty prime real estate as far as like maintenance.
That's amazing. I remember we we lived on the same street, but for a very long time we lived on a street that would get completely neglected when it came to power outages. And I remember there would be like, I don't know, as a kid it felt like a week straight, but it probably was more like 4 to 5 days. But still, like that's a long time. But then we actually had someone move into our neighborhood that was like kind of well connected in the community, and we noticed like, oh, look at that, power comes back within a day, things like that. So it is so funny, like where you are in proximity to things. Obviously, being near the hospital, it's very important that your power comes back on quickly. But I'm glad you didn't lose it, because at least then maybe you could like embrace the blizzard and like embrace the snow day, the coziness, because you did have like Wi-Fi and power and all of that. You could cook and bake.
We actually we're not home. We ended up driving to Concord in the middle of it. Like we left first thing and then we came home. We were home for 45 minutes and then my dad was like, "Hey Chris, will you go plowing?" And so I felt I didn't want him to go by himself. Like I could ride with him. So we went out and plowed for 4.5 hours and so we were literally in the vehicle all day long, but it worked out. We had a great day together. So
At least, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, there was literally nothing else you could do in the middle of a snowstorm. So if you got to go out and
exactly.
plow and be in the pretty snow, and hopefully it's the
I got
last
to hang
one of the season.
I got to hang out with my best friend all day. Like I
Yep.
can't complain. So
Quality time. It's so true. It doesn't need to be anything crazy as long as you're together.
absolutely. And I think it's kind of fitting that we had a giant snowstorm because today's episode was decided before said snowstorm hit and it was about getting rid of the winter uglies. So I'm just not going to look out my windows to see
Yeah.
all the snow and let's get into it.
Yes, we'll embrace the Murano weather, which it's actually kind of terrible today, but we've had some really gorgeous weather. So we're embracing this weather. And I kind of hate the phrase, even though I think I was the one that said it, but whichever one of us was, I hate the phrase winter uglies because it puts a connotation of like that we felt like we were ugly or something like that. And that's just not at all the case, and that would be so against our brand. But what we both meant and what we are saying in this episode is like the winter uglies, as in the mindset of like you just feel sluggish and you feel down and like you feel like you're off a routine, and it's even more for me than feeling like I'm off a routine. It's like not having the motivation to get back on a routine because you just feel like so out of sorts and so like just I think sluggish is the best way I can describe it. So we're getting out of our winter mindset uglies.
Winter uglies is the fun way of saying seasonal depression.
Yes, 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 it is. It really is. Yep.
Because like where we live, I'm not even exaggerating. We are lucky if we get 8 hours of sun or some sort of light where we are, for most of the winter. So now that we're getting that extra hour or so of sunlight, like that alone, I can feel myself perking up.
Oh my God, yeah. We haven't hit daylight saving here yet. We hit it, actually on Sunday now, which I'm so happy about because then our meetings go back to the right time for me and like that side of things I'm excited for. But yeah, that extra hour of sun. And then as we get into the summer, like we can be outside until like 9 p.m. and it's light out. Like it's just so, it makes the sun makes such a big difference. I know we've been talking about this for like it feels like months now, but it really is such a mood lifter, like physically and mentally. It makes such a big difference just having that sunshine and having the daylight.
I'm so thankful to be having this baby in the summer months so that we can be outside getting the sunshine. Like, I can't even imagine having like a newborn in January, February. Like, I really can't. Like, maybe like part of it like is nice because like you get to like really cozy up on the couch, but not have like alone without, I can't even imagine all the postpartum hormones and all that stuff, not having the sunlight. I
Yeah,
can't.
that's a really good point.
So
Yeah, I
this
think it,
trial, this
well,
first kid, I'm
yes.
glad that I'll have sunshine.
No, seriously, I bet it, and I mean, who knows, but I bet you're right. I bet it will make a big difference because mentally you'll feel like, obviously, it's going to be so much change and everything going on with that, but like at least you can be like, okay, I have the sun, like I do have that going for me with whatever else craziness is going on. Like you can just get outside, and even like if the baby's taking a nap, you can go sit on your porch for 20 minutes and
Yeah,
just get that sunshine for yourself, which will make such a big difference.
exactly.
So, where do you want to go with this? So we had kind of had a lot of different aspects with this episode, and then we kind of like as we talked through it, we were like, Winter Uglies, put a cap on, like put an overarching cap on it, and we'll just go from there. So, where do you want to start?
I actually started with a life audit, which I
Great.
don't, we haven't talked about this in a while, but I created a life audit, which a digital download, like you can look up different ways of doing a life audit. You do not have to purchase something to do a life audit. It's the basis of it is you have categories of life, and this is different ways of measuring exactly where you are today in each category of life.
Yep.
I just find it so much easier to pick a starting point. Like if you wake up and you're like, I'm miserable in my life, I want to change my life, where do you start? And I think that this is just a nice way of figuring out a direction or how to go about changing your life or changing your day, attitude, whatever it may be. So I really like the rating, like I don't know what we call it in it. It's the 1 through 10. So I like to rank my categories of life 1 through 10, one being the best, 10 being the worst. And then I start at the bottom and I just work my way up. So, like, if physical health, let's say, is scoring the lowest that day, then I'm going to make it a priority to go for a walk or start an exercise course, like doing something that addresses that one specific area of my life.
I love that you started with the life audit, and I think especially for like this whole winter uglies mindset that we're trying to get out of, I think if you just start at square one with the life audit, and like you said, like it can be so overwhelming to be like, I'm unhappy with my life, and it seems so daunting. Like, where do I go from here? And I know we've actually had some people comment on TikTok or even on our Etsy being like, this feels so daunting. And we do have like the daily life audit, which is like a very, very, very like small glimpse into what the life audit actually is. But if the life audit looks daunting, which it very much like can look daunting from the outside, it actually takes away that scary aspect of
Yeah.
analyzing your life, and we break it down for you. And I think going through each of those categories is really smart as we switch from the winter seasons into the spring season, because you're going to realize like, oh, I really haven't been, like I noticed this with myself. I was like, okay, I haven't been working out. Why is that? Well, probably because I lost my gym membership and then it's been cold, so I haven't been walking. Like, you don't really think about these things intentionally until you take the time to sit down and do a life audit and sit down to actually be intentional about it. And then it's like, okay, I want to make that a priority, put it on your list to make it a priority. And then this was kind of something I'd written down too. Like, if you write it down, you're way more likely to actually do it. And then that's going to make you feel more productive because you're actually checking something off. But you actually are also going to be more productive because you're doing these things that are, you've already proven are going to benefit your life from doing the life audit. Like, you did it yourself.
Absolutely. And I picked up the life audit when I was on vacation. So 2 weeks ago now. And I had a meeting with my boss today, and I was like, yesterday, I was like back to pre-pregnancy brain Susan. Like I was getting an abnormal amount of stuff done, and it was just like it was easy. And I realized it's because everything else in my personal life I knew was taken care of. Like
Yes.
I worked out, I was eating well,
Mhm.
I had meal prepped for the week. Like I didn't have anything in the background running in my brain. So I was able to just really focus on what was in front of me. And it made it so much easier.
I love the way you just described the life audit. I think that is exactly what we're trying to, like, for lack of a better word, that's what we're trying to sell to people. Is like this mindset of like we can help you in this life audit break down your life. And even if like I think it's incredible that you have meal prepped and like that list you sent me of everything you did yesterday, I was like, who is this
I was
girl?
so proud. I was
You should
thriving.
be. Oh my God, you should be proud. But let's say you hadn't yet meal prepped. Okay, you knew that you wanted to do it because it was on your life audit that you wanted to prioritize your physical health or your eating, like, because you can pick your categories. Like, just to be clear, we have examples of categories that you can use, but if nutrition is something that's very high priority for you, make that a category. Like, you can break it up however you want. So, let's say, for example, nutrition was a category. You had written down, okay, to attack this, I want to meal plan. You hadn't yet meal planned, let's say, for example, but the fact that you had acknowledged it and written it down, it would be partly out of mind for me in that instance. And I'd be able to focus on the task at hand, knowing that I have already planned a time and a reason to meal plan. And you don't have to worry, like, oh, what should I be doing? And am I hitting all the different parts of my life that I want to hit? Because you've already, even if you haven't yet done them, you've laid them all out for yourself to get done.
And let's take a pause and talk about meal prepping for 1 second because I know you I feel like you do this. I
Mhm.
had never really meal prepped. Like I'd have in my head kind of an idea of what we're gonna have this week. And I don't know if it's just where we live because we're kind of far away from everything else. Like we don't have options for grocery stores except for what is here. Our grocery bill is astronomical. It has at least tripled. Yeah, because I used to be able to shop like every other week and it
Okay.
would be like 60 to $80. It is $160 every single week now. And I'm getting essentially the same stuff. Maybe a little more now that I'm pregnant. Like there's random
Sure.
snacks,
Mhm.
but they're not enough to be like doubling what we were spending. So last week it's kind of funny, I did the life audit and that was something that had come up, but it was something in the middle of the pack, so I didn't put a lot of emphasis on it.
Sure.
So I just went through and I picked out meals and recipes that I wanted to try from Pinterest and Instagram. I made a list of like, this is what we're having for dinner. And I even wrote out breakfasts, which I would never normally do. But just having it written out, even if we're eating the same thing that we always do, it was like, okay, that's taken care of. That's one less thing I have to do. I made it in a cute little template. I made it in Canva. I saved it to my camera roll, went grocery shopping. Our grocery bill was $80 less than it usually is. I got double the amount of food. And last night, like we ended up having to run, we had something unexpected come up. Then that's an hour of the afternoon gone. And I wasn't even worried about it. I was like, we got options. I
Yep.
know what we're having for dinner. And it was so nice. And same thing for lunches. Like, I just have to go downstairs and put it in the microwave and then come back up and eat it.
Yep.
I'm not thinking about it. I'm not wasting energy on something because it's already taken care of. I put in the 45 minutes last week or whatever it took to plan everything out. And then now I'm ready to roll this week. And it has taken so much just mental brain power and actual time of my everyday that I'm not wasting on that.
Yep. I feel the exact same way. Going from last week where I did not meal plan at all because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever, like we'll figure it out, to this week where I did meal plan. We're saving money, we're saving time, and I love taking the question out of it. When we lived in our old
Yes.
apartment, we didn't have the space to have a week's worth of groceries. So we would kind of have to shop every day. And it was kind of cute. Like we would be like, oh, what do we want to do for dinner tonight? But I realized how much money we were spending and how much food we were
Yeah.
wasting because like, oh, I want to make this fun recipe, but now I have like this, like I'm thinking of like a coleslaw. So like I have this like second head, like this half head of cabbage that is like inevitably going to end up in the garbage. But if I plan and then I have coleslaw on Monday and then on Wednesday we do like a Thai cabbage salad, like, so when you think ahead with these things, you save money, you save like food waste, and then there's no thinking. Like we've been doing like pasta salads or chicken salads for lunch because
Mhm.
that's our weak spot is we end up spending money on lunch food because we don't plan ahead for it. But now the past couple weeks with mostly having planned ahead, it just you feel so much better. You're eating good foods, you're eating what you plan to eat. So yeah, I the planning, like that really is like
Yeah.
the takeaway.
Other thing that I tried this week that I loved was I don't know what it is. I think it's just pregnant me. If it's been in the fridge for like 3 days or more, I'm talking specifically leftovers,
Yep.
I'm not touching it. I'll feed it to Chris for the next 2 weeks, but I will not touch it. And I know that that is such like I feel like such a brat about that, but being pregnant, I just can't.
Yeah.
So I meal prepped 4 lunches, and I was thinking two for me, two for him.
Mhm.
And then so I did that on Sunday. It literally took me 25 minutes. So it was not any I did it while I was putting groceries away. So it
Yep.
was like it wasn't really any added time to my day anyways. And then that is what I've been eating for lunch. And then last night when I cooked dinner, I was like, I have extra chicken. I'll make 2 extra servings. There's Chris's lunches for the week. Now both him and I are set for lunches until midweek, which is today. I'll make our dinner tonight. I'll make 2 extra servings. We have our lunches for tomorrow. Like it just was like a domino effect. And we're using
Yes.
all the food that we have. It's great. I don't want to beat a dead horse because it's time and food
Yep.
waste, but it's just so good.
And you're being so intentional. I think we've been talking about that's kind of been like a running theme of 2024, but I think especially with the past couple of weeks of we've had these episodes with like similar themes of wanting to get back on track or like changing your routine, getting into a better routine, whatever. And it is like being intentional, I think, is the common theme of all of this. Like if you want to change something, you have to actually think about what it means to change that. And like we're not going to talk anymore about meal planning because we need a new example, but it is the perfect example of just being
Yeah.
intentional.
Okay, well, speaking of planners, let's talk about planners because that is something that I've picked up.
All right.
So, for personal life, I've been using our Dream Life Loading digital planner on
Mhm.
my iPad. I like having things a little bit separate. It was getting too
Yes.
messy for me to have work and personal on that planner because that one just, I don't know, it just calls my heart and I feel
Yeah.
so connected to it for personal things. And then for work, I went back to a physical planner and it's so nice. The other day, I was just like, okay, I have 4 different work projects going, and it's just me. Like, technically, I have a supervisor I report to, but like, there's no one keeping me accountable, right? So I was like, I need a way to organize my life. So this was $3 at Walmart. Love it. And then I got a binder. Like, I went back to my Susan high
Cute.
school days,
Mhm.
right? This was something that I have carted with us from apartment to home everywhere, and I was never using it. And I got my sheet protectors and I made little, here, I'll even show you. This is my project organizer.
Oh my God,
So,
this is adorable.
right? And then okay, so I have to brag about myself for a minute. The other day I came into work. So I made these on Canva and then I printed out a couple extra and I just put them on my desk at work. So I have them there. And then I have extras in my binder for when I start something new. And there was a sticky note on it when I came back through when I got to work last week. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And someone had walked by from my old department and was like, I really hope you don't mind. I took these and made copies for my team because this is so good. And I was
Oh,
like, oh, that's so sweet. So it was just, I felt very like
yeah.
special. Someone saw it, liked it, and then made copies of it. I was just like, wow. But that's really helpful to just be organized in your job. And then the physical planner has been great too.
It's so funny that we both went back to physical planners because I have also gone back to a physical planner and I love our Dream Life Loading iPad. Well, you can print it
Yeah.
out. Like we use it on the iPad. I love that planner for to once again beat a dead horse how intentional that planner is because I love like tracking the book I'm reading and my water intake and like all the little like details of that planner. Obviously, it was from our brain, so it obviously works for us, but there is just something so special about like and I know we have this like the pencils with our iPads like you can cross off, but like as much as I am a
And
digital girly, pen and paper, I will always go back to it. And Nick actually got me, oh, it's this one, my red leather planner for Christmas.
yeah,
And I have been loving it. And I honestly use it more as just a to-do list than I do even like write out what I have in the day. I do that mostly digital. But like even on Sunday, this is actually perfect. This is going to transfer us into a next little part about cleaning. But I wanted to do a big deep clean. And I was like, I need to make myself stay on task. So it was like I literally usually I would just write like clean apartment and write that down as a task. But I was like, nope, clean kitchen, clean both bathrooms, clean living room. Like go through step by step because I knew it was not only going to make me do every single step, but it was going to make me want to do every single step because I was able to cross off every like part of the way instead of just cross off clean apartment. So, yeah, I love a physical to-do list. I think planner I could be fully digital, but like a pen and paper to-do list is so satisfying. I have felt so on track the past 4 days because I've just been writing myself to-do lists, even if it's like paint nails. That's not something that's a high priority, but for me, I feel so much better about myself when I do have paint and nails. I'll write it down. Like I have the time to do it. I can do that and I can make myself feel even better by being able to cross it off. So I am a big whether however you want to do your to-do list. I know I have friends that like just having like a notes app to-do list. If that works for you and that motivates you, go for it. But if you want to get out of this like winter uglies mindset, just make a to-do list daily. Like it doesn't have to be like okay, I'm going to get out of my winter uglies with this one to-do list. Like no, it's going to be gradual, but the to-do list, we do love a to-do list around here. But cleaning, I feel like let's talk about clean space, clean mind. I did such a big clean on Sunday, like I said, or Saturday, doesn't matter. And I just feel so good in my space. I feel like my brain is clean when my space is clean. I can get more done. I wake up feeling refreshed when the space around me is refreshed. So I think like spring cleaning is obviously a thing, but like cleaning I think is so important.
Yeah, creating a space where you can relax. Because we work from home, I'm gonna do both, but
Yes,
create a
yes.
space where you can work and a space where you can relax is so, so, so important. And I think that's the other thing. I mean, you guys saw my background was different a couple weeks ago because I had moved all my stuff to the dining room because I was like, I just can't be in my space anymore. And it took like 45 minutes of one of my vacation days to come up here and really like deep clean my office. And now it's looks very similar, but it feels like a completely different space. And then for the flip side of that, for creating a space to relax, that was my focus was our bedroom and the den. And now that it's like clean and organized, and my friend Sarah came over the other day to help me with the nursery. And then I was like, actually, while you're here, do you want to help me with something else? And I brought her down to the den and I let her just organize our bookshelves. Like I was like, take it all down, make it look cute because sometimes I can do it, but sometimes I just don't have the bandwidth to
Yes.
like decorate. So it was just so nice that she loved it and it worked out for both of us. She did it and now I walk in there and I'm just like, "Oh, like I love it in here." And now I'm getting ready to like actually remodel those spaces so we're ready to have like a real relaxing space when the baby comes.
I think that's so. I love that you brought that up because I didn't even realize that this was something that I did. I think so often, especially for us working from home, we get focused on cleaning the spaces that we work so that we can have like a good workspace, which I think is so important. But I didn't realize how uncomfortable's a harsh word for the situation, but I'll use it for lack of a better word. How uncomfortable I felt being comfortable relaxing because my space was messy or like our
Mhm.
coats weren't put away or just these little things that I was just overlooking because we were so busy. And it's like when we came home at the end of a long day or the end of a long weekend and we just wanted to crash, I felt like this. Like I felt like I
Yep.
was all tense because my space wasn't clean, which meant it wasn't for me relaxing. So I think that's like, honestly, I think above anything, if you're wanting to get into the spring mindset, I think you got to just deep clean, get rid of stuff, like put stuff away. I remember when did we meet? Thursday maybe, and I was like, "Oh my God, I just took an hour. All my winter clothes are put away." Like it just lifts, you know? It's like you take off the heavy coats and like you physically can like feel yourself like lift and lighten. So, I think that's so
Yeah, that's literally what I did. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube sometime later this week. But I vlogged when I was doing my deep clean the day Chris went snowmobiling when we were on vacation.
yes, yes.
And like I replaced our curtains. I did all these little things. I mean, I cleaned our baseboards. Like just stuff that you don't normally do. And since then, we have maintained this house being like that level of clean, which has been amazing.
Yep.
And one weak spot for me was our island because like our countertops themselves I keep clean, but the island just kind of became like a catch-all almost. And so I got fake tulips, which I'm obsessed with, and I put those in the center of the island. And because I want those tulips to have their moment, the island has been spotless and they're fake, so they're never going to die. And that space will now forever be clean.
I think that is such a good point. I've noticed Nick and I both have been so intentional about like the 2 second cleanup after you make a meal or after you heat up leftovers, or like when your space is super clean, you want to keep it that way. And when your space is super dirty, you kind of just don't care and it'll stay that way. So it's such a good point that if you have a space you're proud of, you'll work extra hard to keep it that way. Like our spaces, it's just been so I've noticed both of us without even thinking about it, like doing that extra little cleanup just because we're proud of the space we have versus 2 weeks ago it was like I don't care that the floors are disgusting, like it's fine, just like I'll wear my shoes in the house, but now it's like okay, take your shoes off, like we're being intentional.
Yes. We're actually going to do like I don't know if yeah, I think addition is the right word. So
Ooh.
like where our covered porch is, like when you first walk into the house, we are
Yep.
closing that off and it's going to be part of the house. And then with big windows still, because I was like, I need the light. Like you can't
Yep.
lock me in here. And that's going to be a mud room because we do not have, you walk right into our living room slash
Kitchen.
kitchen,
Yeah.
like where that door is positioned, it's in between the two. And we have a built-in table right there. So it's like you walk in and you're in the middle and you're on rug, and we just have such an issue with like the mess, and we don't want to expect people to take their shoes off outside, but especially with a little one who's going to be here soon on the floor, I'm like we need to combat this somehow. And we don't have a closet or anywhere to put coats or things, so then they were all just getting thrown on the table or the chairs on the table, and it just wasn't working. And Chris is like, I think we need to just build a mud room. And that's again, it's an investment, but it's an intentional use of our space and our money because now we're fixing this where it's a solution to a problem we're having.
For sure. And I feel like mentally you guys are going to feel so good. Like, because you have such a long winter, like not worrying about the messy boots coming into the carpeted floors and like being able to separate your outdoor space from your indoor space. Like, you don't have to see your coats because they're out, like not outside, but they're in that mudroom space. Like, I think that's so smart. And I think it's going to go a long way for, I think you're going to realize how much bigger because your space is already huge, but I think when you don't have to have like basically your mudroom in the corner of
In
your
the
living
living room,
room,
yeah,
you're gonna, oh my God, that space is just gonna come to life.
exactly. Yep.
Let's talk about March habits because we are at the end of March. I literally cannot believe it.
Yeah, I don't know where March went.
No.
So March, I didn't really if we watched our episode from the end of February, I'd probably be, I don't even know what I said. I'm sure I had something on my list. I didn't track March habits whatsoever. So I'm,
Really?
yeah, I was on vacation for a week.
Yep.
I was sick the week before that. And then we had like what, maybe a couple days before that. Yeah, I mean, I was sick, then vacation, then Chris's birthday, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything intentional, but I did start the Alive app by Whitney
Yes.
Simmons, and I've done that consistently. So working out has been a huge thing. My water intake and now protein, like a higher protein. I don't want to use the word diet because I'm not subtracting anything, but just being mindful of the amount of protein that we're taking in and meal prepping. So I mean, I did hit all the things, but I didn't write it out like we had in the beginning of the year.
And it sounds like it was better for you in this month to not track it religiously and instead of just do it when it was
Yeah.
best for you. I think
Where
no,
where
go,
I
go.
didn't have a routine, I
Yes.
think that's why that just the flexibility of that worked better for me.
Yep. I noticed that my habits were working against me this month, and I'm being very smart about switching that for April. And you actually pointed it out that I realized I was doing, what was it, like 17 habits, I think we counted. It's like,
Yes,
this is
you had so
absurd.
many.
This, and like, I'll be honest, like, I had breakfast written down as a habit. Obviously, that's not a habit, but I wanted to just be better about eating
And
breakfast,
yeah,
which,
be intentional about it.
right, right, right. So I think, like, to say that I had 17 habits is probably the wrong word to use, but I was writing them down, trying to hit everything
Yeah.
every day. But I'm gonna try and get down to, like, honestly, like, 8, maybe 10 at the most. And it just really things that I am not already doing. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm actually gonna take off my phone usage habits that I've had on for the first 3 months of the year. I'm taking them off because I hit my goal, and I feel like it has actually become a habit to the point where I don't even think about it anymore. And I just go in and check it because I'm like, oh, I definitely did that today. And it's like, I think that's a sign. It doesn't need to be on my habit tracker if I'm not even being mindful. Like, it's literally become muscle memory to not go on my phone in the morning or the night, which is such a huge thing for me.
That's amazing. Like that's probably that would be the hardest one for me.
It was. And it literally took 3 months. Like, it really did take January, February, and March of being so, like, consistent about it and being so self-disciplined of, nope, we are not opening the apps. Like, we are not doing that. And I told you I hit my goal of, it was a yearly goal for me to hit 5 hours of screen time per day on average. Like, you know how it gives you like your screen time average on Sundays. And I hit it this past Sunday, and I was like, that's it. Like, that is the final reminder that, like, I can take that off. So just, I want my habit tracker to be things that I'm actually working towards, and not like, oh, well, I could start doing this. Why don't I just add it on? Because then it just piles on more and more, and then I'm not able to complete anything because there's just too much and it overwhelms you.
So for April, my habits, I think you're going to die when I tell you this. So my friend Yana is completing 75 hard.
Yes.
And my friend Lauren texted me 2 days ago, Sunday, and was like, hey, I'm starting 75 hard on April 1st. And I was like, this is a sign. I have been telling myself that I want to freaking do this. I was like, I'm not committing to the hard part because I don't need to like hurt myself. I
Yes.
was like, what day does that end? If you're starting on the 1st, what day does it end? She goes, June 15th. I was like, it's
Perfect.
too good. The
Yep.
timing is too good. So I'm going to do 75. I don't know if we're going to call it soft or medium. The only
Mhm.
thing I'm not committing myself to for the rules is 2 workouts a day. I will
I'm
do
glad. Yes.
one 45-minute workout in some capacity, whether that's mobility, walking, or the program that I'm doing through the Whitney Simmons app, which ends coincidentally on the same day. It was too good not to do it. So
Perfect.
my habits are going to just be the challenge, but I'm
Yep.
so excited. And I thought about doing it postpartum because
Yeah.
like a good way to get back into things.
Mhm.
However, we have a wedding in October. I already have a babysitter. If I'm not like being dragged off that dance floor hammered, I'm
Yes.
not going.
Hmm.
And I don't want to restart it. Like I want to be consistent with it. And I was like, honestly, I don't know if that's kind of cheating because I'm sober because I'm pregnant, but I was like, that's one thing that I've already got down. So might as well make double use out of this.
I think it's great. I I don't know if there are many people 6 months pregnant that are agreeing to do 75 hard, but if there was going to be the person, it was going to be you. So I can't say I'm all that surprised, because you are such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, so self-disciplined and so motivated that this is,
I'm gonna say crazy.
of course you're going to do this. But I'm so excited to see how it goes, and I'm happy that you're already allowing yourself to make those adjustments, because I think that is best for you mentally and obviously physically. But I'm excited.
I'm very excited too.
I think my big habit for April is going to be exercise. I think there was just like so much that I really got off track with it. I was doing really well and then got off track. So April, my focus is going to be just intentional exercise, whether that's like a walk, like you said, like we'll leave it at that. But that's going to be like my one main habit that I'm really focusing on. And the fact that I'm taking out so many habits is like the growth in
Yeah.
itself. So yeah, let's do favorites quick.
Favorite?
Yes.
Perfect. What's your favorite?
My favorite is our table, and we only have 4 minutes left, so I'm gonna be very quick about it. But basically, we got like a little bistro table for outside, and it's just like, I wish we got it a year ago because we're already using it so much. I love being able to eat outside, use my computer outside, write outside, all these different things. Just having the outdoor space, I love it. I'm completely
Amazing.
obsessed.
My favorite is my fake engagement ring.
You
Because
know what? I noticed.
Yeah, it's from Walmart and I love it. So my ring is broken again.
No.
So, well, the band. So we can get into this next week when the real ring is here so we can go over what happened. But I was like, it's gonna be a week. I'll have my ring back Saturday. And I went literally one day and I just kept having anxiety because there was nothing there.
Yep.
And I was like, I lost it even though I didn't. So I was like, I'm just gonna get a replacement one. I was just gonna get a silicone one because I
Yeah.
have a feeling my hands are already a little bit swollen. So I was like, there it's not gonna fit the whole time anyways. But now I have this one I got for like $13 at Walmart and it's awesome. I'm not worried about it. Like yesterday it flew off and I was like, oh, I'll pick it up when I get it. Like it's just really nice to have something that I'm not worried about.
Yeah, I noticed it as we were recording, and I'm like, I'm not gonna stop mid-record and be like, what's going on there? And I also like, it's like it was one of those it was one of those thoughts I had, but I wasn't like actually thinking about it. But that is so funny. And of course, it was
Yeah.
your favorite. Like we were both on the same wavelength.
Yes. What's
Um,
your quote?
my quote is, "Don't feel guilty for doing what's best for you."
I love that. And perfect for this like upcoming season of life for everyone.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I love that.
Yep.
My
Self-explanatory.
my quote is success is 5% brains and 95% consistency.
That was almost my quote, Susan. I swear I was deciding between the two.
I put the like when I reorganized my home screen, I added the widget for Pinterest. And so just randomly the quotes changed throughout the day a couple times. And it popped up one of those. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, I did a double take. I'm like, that is pure gold. That
Mhm.
is pure gold. So I wrote it down for this episode when I saw it.
That's amazing. And I feel like both of these quotes that we've chosen for this week are so well aligned with this next chapter of no more winter uglies. We are focused, we are intentional girlies, and we have spring on the mind, both like
We're
mentally and
springing into action.
there it is. Ooh, I like that. Springing into action.
All
Perfect.
right. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a review wherever you may be. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening.